He is from عين الصفصاف للمتن.
Thank you so much. If I may, I would like to start by just saying a few words in Arabic. أحب أن أشكر فخامات الرئيس ميشيل عون والحكومة اللبنانية وسعادة السفير السيد جابرييل عيسى والسفارة اللبنانية بأمريكا لإعطاء الوسام استحقاق الوطني. بشرفني اليوم أن أشارك بحفل نجاح اكتشاف كوفيد-19 فاكسين مع زملائي في موديرنا من أصل لبنان. أنا فخورة بأصل لبنان وبشكركم كتير على هذا الشرف وبسلم كتير على كل عائلتي بأمريكا وبلبنان وهن بعين صفصاف وبحدث بيروت. شكرا جدا. And say it in English, please. So I would like to express my deepest gratitude to President Michel Aoun, the Lebanese government, Ambassador Mr. Gabriel Issa, and of course to all the staff of the Lebanese Embassy in the United States for putting this event together and for honoring me today with the National Order of Merit. I am privileged today to be part of the ceremony amongst my esteemed colleagues from Moderna of Lebanese descent who have contributed to the development of the vaccine against the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm proud of my Lebanese heritage. I am proud to be an American and extremely thankful for being recognized today. I'm privileged to be part of this unbelievable Moderna team. Several teams in obviously quality control and the entire organization who have and continue to work tirelessly on this vaccine. Finally, I'd like to send my regards to my numerous family members here in the US and Lebanon, from Ain Sossaf and from Hadath Beirut, and especially to my mom who's been there to support me throughout my whole life. So special shout out to her. So thank you so much for this honor. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We are proud of you too. Now we'll move to the keynote concluding remarks by Dr. Noubar Afeyan. Dr. Noubar.
Thanks everybody. Let me start by addressing my appreciation to the President of the Republic of Lebanon, His Excellency General Michel Aoun, for awarding to my colleagues and myself the National Order of Merit. And let me also thank Your Excellency Gabriel Issa, the Ambassador of Lebanon to the United States, and thank him particularly for hosting this ceremony. I am sorry that I could not be there in person, but hopefully in due time I can visit the embassy in person and meet you. Let me be the first to congratulate my dear colleagues from the board, Francois, and from the leadership team in the company, Marcello, Said, Joachim, Joyce, Charbel, and Joe. I couldn't be more proud. As Said said, I was proud every time I met anybody Lebanese join the Moderna ranks, and they really have had an outsized contribution to the company for sure, and their award, much more than mine, is highly deserved. Being driven much more by impact than recognition as part of the Moderna family, I know I can speak for all of my colleagues in saying that accepting this honor feels like an opportunity for all of us to pay tribute to the country of our birth, our nationality, and the one we feel a special kinship with at this very difficult time for everyone on the planet. I want to give you a little brief history about Moderna and how it got started and how it ended up here. I have worked for the past 33 years since finishing my PhD at MIT as an inventor and entrepreneur. And some 20 years ago, I had the occasion to create the company, Flagship Pioneering, which in turn specialized in creating life science platform companies that would make breakthroughs to improve health and sustainability. Moderna, quite inconspicuously born, was the 18th such company. It was born with the name LS18, a number. And it was one of many platforms that we imagined could be used to transform medicine. And from the very beginning, what we set out to do was nothing short of create a new form of medicine. And we knew that the path was not clear, the difficulties were not clear, but if we got the right people to work on the problem, and we believed that in time, such a new medicine was possible. And that new medicine was based on the science of messenger RNA, something that had never been used as a medicine before. And in a short few years, even by the time Said was joining, we had some early hopeful signs but we knew we had a long way to go. The company, over the past decade, even before SARS-CoV-2 entered our consciousness in 2020, had made thousands of inventions, large and small, had invested billions of dollars developing a platform, and had already advanced some 20 different medicines and vaccines into clinical trials. What we didn't know, of course, coming into 2020 was that all of these would be the warm-up act to what was required overnight, which was to apply everything that all of us in the company knew to fight a real major battle. And that battle continues. And that's the battle that led to the conception, the reduction to practice, and the production and testing, ultimately the release of the mRNA 1273 vaccine against COVID-19. It was a heroic effort. There are hundreds, if not over 1,000 people within the company, and then hundreds of collaborators that absolutely collaborated to make this happen. Their bravery, their ingenuity, their relentless hard work, really hard work. You know, on television, you only see little glimpses of the Moderna name, but for us, it means incredibly hard work and devotion. And as I said, I cannot be more proud to be sharing this moment with colleagues from Moderna, not only the Lebanese ones who are here, but the melange of immigrants and American-born scientists, all of whom have demonstrated this spirit. Let me also let me pay tribute to the CEO of Moderna, the leader of Moderna, Stéphane Bancel, who is himself an immigrant coming from France. I had the great pleasure of knowing Stéphane several years before, asking him to come and lead Moderna. And Stéphane's just a very, very unique individual, and but for his ingenuity and drive, none of this would be possible. And I would say that I'm sure my colleagues would view in Stéphane certain Lebanese characteristics as well. So let me also talk a little bit briefly, don't want to overstay my welcome here, about my Lebanese roots and how they have affected my life. I was born in Beirut. I grew up in the Watwat district in Beirut, and then eventually ended up in Clemenceau on Shahar Talab Jumlat. And that's where my memory goes from birth to the age of 13. I had the life of an Armenian boy living in a country that had accepted my ancestors after the Armenian genocide. And I'm here to also express deep, deep gratitude to the country for accepting so many Armenian refugees and orphans and allowing them to feel part of a country as they were being kicked out of yet another country of their historic roots. When I was born, I didn't know any better. I thought all Armenian people lived in Lebanon. There were so many of us. There were 70, 80 churches. There were 60 schools. That is unusual. That doesn't exist in many other countries, and I think it reflected well on the accepting culture of Lebanese at the time I was growing up. My mother, Anais, was born in Beirut and lived much of her life there. She was a pianist, she was a piano teacher, and she instilled in us a true hybrid culture value system of what a Lebanese Armenian would be. And we were proud of that. I went to an Armenian school, an Armenian evangelical school, right next to Haigazian, for those of you who know the area. I remember playing soccer at the AUB fields, playing basketball at Homet Ben, going to church in Surk Nishan, right next to where, at the time, the Capitol was, going to the Kaslik Beach in Junia, and many, many more memories. Those were etched in my memory. We left Lebanon due to the war, and we left in August of 1975, just as the airport was shutting down due to the Civil War. And one of my last memories, unfortunately, was the burning port in Beirut in 1975. That's why it was especially painful to me last year to see films of the explosion in Port Beirut some 45 years later. Together with my colleagues at the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative, we were glad to be able to provide humanitarian assistance through the Lebanese Red Cross to show support but also solidarity to the country in these difficult times. Of course, little did we know so much more would happen with the pandemic that would try everybody who lives there. How these roots have shaped me is the following. Lebanon, I've always viewed as a land of dreams and possibilities. Partly by nature, partly by what history has forced upon Lebanese citizens, there has been no alternative but to have big dreams and big hopes as challenges have faced the country throughout its history. Lebanese are a people of resilience and tolerance, happiness and suffering, and Lebanon finds itself at a crossroad over and over. I would say, and I know everybody there, most of whom are Lebanese, know this, that Lebanese, in my view, have unparalleled taste and a joie de vivre that I have not seen anywhere in all my journeys across the world. As was mentioned earlier, education is a core pillar of everybody who grows up in Lebanon, and the business instincts and so much more, the creativity, has made Lebanon a very distinctive place. I will also say, in wrapping up, that I feel a special kinship exists between Armenians and Lebanese today. Both countries, unfortunately, face very tough challenges and even tougher neighborhoods. No one has come to the help of Lebanese or Armenians over the years. We have a diaspora, each of us, and in some cases we're part of both diasporas. That is the key to both the present and the future possibilities of both countries. And as my colleague Francois said, only if the countries know how to include the diaspora in co-creating a future, as opposed to expecting the diaspora to simply provide support. Lebanon faces tough economic times. The only counteracting weapon I could see is to find within the Lebanese population and the diaspora an entrepreneurial spirit to fight back. Innovation and entrepreneurship, in my view, are the key to getting out of the current situation and to bring about transformation. And in that regard, I want to tell you that entrepreneurship and innovation starts with imagining an alternative future reality. Without that alternative future reality, in our dreams, in our imagination, it's very hard to make change. And with it, we're still going to see tons of opposition, tons of people who enjoy the current status quo try to defeat change. But I think that like Moderna, which has been all about making leaps and defying the dogma of what people believed was not possible, the same route, the same possibility is available to Lebanon and to its people, but it is really up to the people to begin to think of themselves as the agents of change and not expect some other miracle to occur. My last piece of advice for the young generation is the same thing that I say to my colleagues in Armenia, which is, as youth, you need to think about planting roots in the future, not the past. And let that future, in this case the future Lebanese cedar tree, pull you to a better place instead of hold you back from something that is in the past. So think about what an entrepreneur does as planting roots in the future and coming back to the present to make the reality better and better until you can accomplish your vision. And applying that to the current reality is the best hope and intersection between Moderna's experience and the challenges in front of Lebanon today. And that would be my 2 cents worth. And I'll end as any other opportunity. I must say I don't speak much to a Lebanese crowd, haven't for many decades, but I did used to in my school, and there was no event that did not have at some point a quote from Gibran Khalil Gibran, as was mentioned earlier, one of the iconic people in Lebanese history, a poet, a philosopher of Lebanese origin. And one of his famous quotes that I have kept in mind says, "Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity." Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Afeyan. I would like to conclude by saying that Lebanese excellence will always prevail, whether in Lebanon or all around the world. I would like, on behalf of Ambassador Isa, of the embassy diplomats, and of our team, to thank everyone who joined us today, to thank the honorees, and also to thank all those who participated to this virtual event. I would also like to thank the technical team who made it possible. Thank you very much, and we hope to meet again in other events like this one. Thank you.
I'll stand next to you.
Voilà, non. Spontaneous.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah, one alone and then.
okay, with you. Next. Master.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, that's fine, yeah, you're right.
Is another.
Does it work that way?
No.
Right here, right here, right on.
Well, we're vaccinated. So I heard that you need to.
Thank you.
Thank you.